16 billion login credentials were just leaked last week. But today, we're breaking it down. What was actually leaked, how it was discovered, whether you personally should be worried, and how to protect yourself. And hopefully, with this video, I could clear up any confusions you might have had or any worries. Hello, my name is Priyag from Bite Size Hacks, and let's get right into it. Before I start, I'm going to be referencing this article right here, Cyber News, which originally discovered this data leak. I'll put the link in the description. Now, some of you may already have heard of this before through either social media posts or even news articles such as from Forbes. Now, what I did find in my research with these social media posts and news articles is that a lot of these articles and videos were pretty vague in general and didn't really go into detail about what was actually discovered or what this actually entails. So that's what I'm here to talk about, and let's get right into it. Now, this story all started at Cyber News when researchers led by Bob Dianchenko, hopefully I'm saying that right, uncovered 30 huge data sets on an open server. Now, each data set ranged from around, I believe, 90 million login credentials all the way up to 3.5 billion with an average of 550 million per. Now, these files in total held almost 16 billion login credentials, username, passwords, URLs, etc. Now, that's more than double the population of the Earth. Crazy, right? The team at Cyber News did mention that this is all new data that was stolen by a malware called InfoStealers, which is essentially malicious software that secretly extracts information from your computer, most of the time without you even realizing it. Some are so advanced that they could delete themselves after, which is why it's so scary to think about. The two images shown above are pictures that Cyber News released about the datasets that were discovered and just had the spread of like the information that was leaked, with the biggest one being 3.5 billion as I mentioned before and the lowest one being 90 million. Now, the Forbes article that I showed before talked about how big companies like Apple, Facebook, and Google were leaked. Now, is this true? Well, it's half and half. Now, these big companies did not face any direct breaches, but according to Cyber News again, from the data they found, they did find login credentials that were related to these companies. Social media does what it does best. Panic first and ask questions later. Now, you might see videos that saying like Google was hacked or Apple was hacked or things like that, but let's be clear, no major companies were directly breached. As I mentioned before, the login pages for the services showed up because their people's credentials were stolen elsewhere on other websites or applications. Now, attackers could take this data to essentially take over your account or launch phishing campaigns or even trick you into password reset scams and many, many more things, even identity fraud to that point, and steal money. Okay, so what can I do right now to make sure I'm safe or check if I've been breached? Now, if you want to check if you've been compromised or anything like that, you could go to this website called haveibeenpawned.com and enter your email and just see if there's any breaches associated with your email. Another thing you could do, if you have an Apple phone, you can go to your passwords app and then click on security, and that'll also tell you if you have any compromised apps or like login information or anything like that. And just to be safe in general, just change all your passwords. If you do use like the same password for multiple apps, change that as well. Differentiate stuff so that it's you have variety with your passwords. Another thing you could do that I highly recommend is enable MFA or 2FA, like multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication, especially on important stuff like your Google account or your bank account, Amazon, things like that that are associated with your money or even your just personal identity. Just to summarize everything I've talked about, this is one of the largest data breaches in history, actually, 16 billion login credentials. And this is over 30 different databases which have been discovered throughout this year, actually. And there is a high chance, a really good chance, that a lot of this data and credentials might be overlapping, meaning that it's probably not 16 billion unique ones. Now, this data is highly likely from InfoStealers, as I mentioned before, malware that secretly steals your data. And it's very recent, it's not from old breaches or anything like that. And finally, if cyber criminals do have access to the data, which they probably do, they could have unprecedented consequences on you, such as they could exploit them for account takeovers, identity theft, or even targeted phishing attacks and more. So just make sure to be safe and cautious and take all the precautions that I mentioned before, and hopefully you are fine. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and have notifications on, as it really helps my channel. And thank you for watching.